Welcome to another 31 Days of Horror 2018 video, Toronto After Dark edition. Yes. Oh, we've got something for you here. You like slashers? I know you do. Well, we are talking about The Ranger. And when we say The Ranger, we are talking about a park ranger. A psychotic park ranger on the loose. Yes, this film is essentially about a bunch of punks, and I'm not saying like punk kids, I mean like actual punks, though they are kind of kids, punk kids, who are on the, they get in trouble with the law, so they decide to go up into a, I guess, nearby national park, and essentially hang out in a cabin that was owned by the uncle of one of the girls in this ragtag bunch of punks here, that she used to visit when she was young, until her uncle met a tragic end, and then she never went back. So yeah, they decide to hang out there, and then yeah, Mr. Park Ranger decides that he's not taken too kindly to them being in his national park, because they're punks, they disrespect everything, and yeah, so he takes it upon himself to kill them. Yes. The film is written and directed by Jen Wexler. This is her feature debut. It's also written by Giacomo Farino, who, again, nothing before this. I guess we'll go through the punks, right? So, well, actually, we'll go with the Ranger first. The Ranger is played by Jeremy Holm, who, let's see, he was he in anything? He was in Mr. Robot. He was Mr. Sutherland and Mr. Robot, if you've watched that. He played a bunch of different things in the TV series What Would You Do? He played, that's about it. Yeah, I guess so, whatever, that's it. Nothing I've actually watched. Oh well. But he did look familiar, which is weird. I don't know. Maybe he just has one of those faces. He seemed familiar, but I guess not. The punks, the main punk, the girl who has the backstory of the cabin and stuff, played by Chloe Levine. And Chloe has been in quite a few things before this. Question is, would you know any of them? The Transfiguration, Sugar. She also played in an episode of Mr. Robot. And Savage Youth. I didn't recognize any of these young people in there. The character of Garth, which is essentially kind of like, he was playing the head punk, the kind of the asshole of the group, and essentially her boyfriend, even though he would go after anything. It's played by Granite LaHue. Yeah, his name's Granite. And this is his first outing. I guess we'll call him token visible minority. It's played by Jeremy Pope. Yeah, he's essentially, I think he's the only, well, No, I guess he wouldn't be. There's a... Yeah, there's... The girl was kind of... Yeah, she must have been... So I guess he's not the token person of color. But Jeremy Pope played a black homosexual punk. So he got 2 cards on there, which is awesome. Great that they put that in there. There was also kind of a meeker punk played by Bubba Wheeler, who, according to IMDb, has been in quite a few television series and such, but nothing crazy. He's in some movie called Puzzle. Don't know it. And then I guess the other person of color, Amanda Grace Benitez. I guess she's of maybe Latin descent by the sounds of her last name. She was in All Cheerleaders Die. Yes, Hannah Popkin in All Cheerleaders Die. She was also in Emerson Heights, which I've never heard of. But you can see where I'm going with this. These people are all kind of newcomers. Fresh faces. Thank you. Don't need to have names under these things all the time. Let these films stand on their own. And one of the things that makes this film stand out is the soundtrack. Remember how I said it was a bunch of punks? Well, this has got a punk soundtrack like you wouldn't believe. Holy smokes. Punk music everywhere. Like, even in a club, there's a punk group, and I think it's an actual punk group, but I can't remember what the name was. Yeah, I can't remember what the name was. It might come to me later. But yeah, if you like punk music, oh, you're gonna love this soundtrack. You are gonna love it. But how does the film as a whole stand out? Well, hit and miss. It's got some good aspects. It's got some aspects that really don't think they needed to go down there. I think this was a case of the writers kind of overthinking things. Let's put it this way. What this should have been was the Ranger. You don't need any backstory to the Ranger here. Okay? The Ranger, for whatever reason, they go in and for whatever reason, he is killing people who disrespect the park. That's it. That's the only thing you need. You don't need anything else. Add in him doing, you know, quirky park ranger type lines. You know, Freddy does his funny little gag lines before he's going to kill somebody. You know, well, you know, the ranger can do them too, right? You know, Smokey Bear type lines. Only you can stop forest fires. Some, you know, along those lines, right? And that would have made this film awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I think everybody would be raving about this. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's kind of a portion of it. Yes, he does do some... Essentially, the Ranger is like one of these Rangers, and he's like that when he's killing too. So, you know, he's very calm. Okay. Could still work. Could still work in the scenario I gave you. And he does do lines, you know, like... He does the whole quoting of statutes and laws before he's going to kill somebody. You know. But there's... And I'm not going to go into the backstory here too much. But there is a relationship between him and the uncle and the young girl from the past, which is really messed up and didn't need to be in there. There's also the fact that it seems like it's hinted to that he's been doing this killing thing for a very, very, very long time. Probably before the memories of her as a young girl in this film. So before that dates, you know, like, and the only thing, there is some dialogue that kind of hints towards it, and there are missing, you know, this person's missing, this person's missing, posters up. And here's the thing. Now, you would think that if he's doing this for a long, long period of time, the only people he'd be killing are people who nobody would miss, right? But I do get the impression that that's not necessarily the case here, because two things. A, the missing persons posters. Lots of missing persons posters. You don't put up missing person posters with rewards unless there's somebody back home trying to find you. Okay. Two, and this is one of the things that's weird, he talks about it being hunting season, so watch out for hunters. But he also says that there is a law that there's no hunting in the national park, so clearly he must be killing hunters. Okay, the likelihood is that these hunters have families. Probably not even alone. So it could be two families. Or more, who knows? And if he is killing what I mean, they don't really say. Now, don't get me wrong, they don't say, but they hint towards it. You know, this is all hinted at. It's not actually come out and say it. If he's been doing this for a long, 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 long time, people would have come looking. If you say you are going into, you know, the national park and you don't come back, people are going to go looking. And now, I know how they try and hide this out. It's like, it's a big park. You can get lost. You can never be found. It happens. But just these teenagers alone stumble upon dead bodies. And they don't really go very far. So, he's not hiding these bodies. He's just leaving them out in the forest. Clearly. And I guess the animals will eventually eat them. But depending on the timeline, how long it takes to look, it wouldn't take these people long to find elements, especially if people keep going missing. And the only thing that I can see that is constant in this park is this park ranger and a guy who owns the store. There's a general store in the area. Outside of that, the only buildings of sort in the area would be you know, this person's cabin, the cabin of the uncle, and the park ranger's, you know, lookout tower and where he lives. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, I don't know. Just some of the aspects of this just didn't seem to jive. Like, if he had just started killing people, no problem. But because this seems to have been going on for a good 10, 20, maybe longer. How many years? Like, how long can you pull that off before it's, you know, like... like, this is the thing. These are people who are clearly, at some point in time, saying where they're going to people that they love, and then never coming back. You can only get away with, you know, so much before you can only, you know, oh, it's a dangerous place in these forests. You never know what'll happen. Must have gotten eaten by the wolves. It only works so many times. You can do that the first time, and then the next time, oh, maybe a bear got him. Okay, the bear got him. Oh, it came back. Oh, it's like, oh, how can you cover that up so much? Right? Okay. That's just one of my beefs here. The other beef is there's just, like I said, too much going on. There's hints at pedophilia. There's hints at just weird love things going on. There's, I don't know. Outside of the punk dynamic, I just had problems. I had problems with the Ranger character, and I had problems with the backstories that they were giving. These two aspects didn't need to be there. Didn't need to be there. Make it a killer Ranger, some punks. Do it. That would have been an amazing, super fun film. But no, they wanted to do a little bit more, delve into some backstory, all this kind of stuff, and explain things. And yeah, in case I didn't mention it, the uncle is played by Larry Fessenden. Yeah. He doesn't really have much of a part other than he probably went in there, shot some stuff for one day, and had some photographs taken of him, and that was it. Because I don't remember if he talked. I don't even think he had any talking in this movie. Could be wrong. But yeah. So, like, I can't really give anything away for the backstory as such, because it is a big portion of the film is learning this backstory and having it be told and finding out more about the Ranger and more about her and more about the uncle, and this past. And yeah, and you know what? The kills aren't too bad. Could have been better. But I think this is one of those missed opportunities. This film could have been so much fun. So much fun. And I know people would look at it and be like, oh, it's so cliche. Had they gone that way, I'm so glad, you know, they didn't do that. And you can look at it and I'm like, nah, man, like, this film tried to be that and more. But by trying to be more, it ruined that. Like, it ruined the fun. The fun wasn't really there. It was... I mean, there was some of it. Don't get me wrong. There's some of it because, yes, the Ranger gives some lines. There's people getting killed. Yes, there's some of that fun there, but... it could have been so much. Oh, I'm telling you. Had it been just the punks, the Ranger, no backstory, just the Ranger being a Ranger, but at the same time, he's a psychotic Ranger and killing. Because this is how it sells. You sell the film, right? A psychotic Ranger is killing off a bunch of punks, teenagers who invade his forest. Excuse me. Long day. So, really, I don't know. If I had to give it a rating, I'd say like 2.5 out of 5. 2.5 out of 5. Would I recommend it? If you're a fan, if you're into punk music, I'm gonna give this film a recommend. If you're into horror and punk music, the soundtrack and what's in the film are definitely worth watching and being. You'd totally get on it. If you're not into punk music, then you don't really have that aspect to really go, oh, that's cool, oh, I love that track, oh, that's by, you know, somebody you might know, I can't believe they used it, that's awesome. You would miss that portion of it, and you would just be stuck with the film, which would have, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad movie, it's just, it's not as much fun as it could be, and I think that's what a lot of people watching this will be like, oh, why, you know, they have the film that I just explained in their head, and that's not what they get. And I think that's the problem. So, in terms of quality, it's probably a 3 out of 5, but because this backstory, I'm taking it down a notch. the backstory was unnecessary. It was really unnecessary. Yeah, unnecessary. She could have said, honestly, portion of that, the backstory is to teach why she, knows the forest, why she knows all this kind of stuff, and it's like, all she had to say was, I came up here with my uncle when I was young. Shot me, taught me how to shoot and hunt and fish and, be one with nature or something like that. That's all you needed. You don't need any flashbacks to this stuff. You don't need any backstory or any reason why she stopped coming or anything like that. You'd be like, I just grew up, or my uncle died, or whatever. Just honestly, what she said in the film in the present was probably good enough without having to have this flashbacks into the past and this whole uncle girl ranger thing. If you haven't seen the film, which I'm guessing you probably haven't because it's at a film festival, wait until you do. I'm sure this will come out there. I don't know who has it, but I think it's been picked up by somebody for distribution. So, yeah. And I'm sure it's going to do some more festivals. I think it's done some festivals. It's going to do some more festivals. So maybe it'll come to a festival in your area. Who knows? But when you see this film, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I can't say... This is the problem. I can't say any more without giving it away. And I guess part of the nuanced and the entertaining portion of this film is learning this backstory. Because, yeah... much of the film revolves around it, essentially. But, yeah. That is The Ranger, and my thoughts on The Ranger. I wouldn't give it a recommend to everybody, but there are a few out there who definitely would be totally into this. But again, don't go into it thinking it's a funny killer ranger, killing off people, and the kills are going to be great, and no, it's not that. That's what it should have been. It's not that. Anyways, thanks for watching. Comment down below. Love to hear from you. More 31 Days of Horror and Toronto After Dark coverage to come. Well, there should be more Toronto After Dark. I'm sure there's definitely some horror films coming up. So yeah, more to come. So stay tuned. Till next video, take care. Have a good one.